The Bureau of Meteorology is forecasting severe to extreme heatwave conditions in large parts of Western Australia and Queensland this week. Tropical Cyclone Sean is playing a role in driving the hot air into the east and the west. Angus Hines is here from the Bureau to tell us more. Hi Angus, so it's very warm in WA right now, isn't it? Where are the worst affected places and how hot is it?
Yeah, afternoon, Roz. Indeed, it is very, very warm. It was an exceptionally hot day yesterday on Monday. Perth was in the low to mid 40s. We had over 43 in the city, over 44 degrees at the airport there, just a little bit off to the east. And a bit further north up the WA coastline at Geraldton there, which is about halfway up the WA coast. It was an incredible 49.3 degrees yesterday, which matched, it equalled their all-time highest temperature recorded at that location. So it just goes to show we are seeing extremely warm conditions in the west. It is lining up to be another very hot day today. Temperatures back into the high 30s to low 40s across almost all of southern WA. Perhaps not quite as warm as it was yesterday. We might see a few degrees shaved off those extremely high temperatures, but it is still going to be exceptionally warm across all of the southwest, across the wheat belt, across the southern interior and even parts of the south coast. So almost everyone in the southern half of the state needs to brace for another hot day today and really for the rest of the week.
Okay, and Perth's humid as well, isn't it? That's not usually a feature associated with that city.
Yeah, we often see much drier conditions across Perth, even when those temperatures do really skyrocket. And we've seen at least a modest amount of humidity around parts of Western Australia. Still some really dry areas through the interior. Of course, that's always going to be the case. But the humidity would have been probably most noticeable overnight last night. Temperatures really, really warm through the night. It was about 20 degrees or higher all night last night in Perth. So that extra little bit of humidity really made things sticky and uncomfortable. And it would have been a night of tossing and turning if the AC wasn't on.
And when's the heat wave going to hit Queensland then, Angus?
Yeah, we are seeing that heat spread to other areas. We've had that focus on Western Australia, but the east coast is really warming up. It's a fairly warm day today, but most places probably in the realm of 1 to 3 degrees above average, so nothing too unusual for the time of year, but it is a step up again tomorrow. We'll see another 2 or 3 degrees on top of today's temperatures, so that's going to give us mid-30s across the east coast, about 35 in Brisbane, could see 37 in some eastern areas, and that'll be trending up towards about mid-40s for central parts of Queensland, perhaps 45 or 46 degrees. So again, large parts of the state of Queensland from tomorrow onwards also seeing heat wave conditions, and that will last out until the end of the week as well. It will also be a hot day in New South Wales tomorrow, but for them it's more like a one-day spike in heat. So a really warm day tomorrow. Sydney perhaps 35 with western parts being 38 or 39, but that will be cooling off by Thursday.
Okay, and Tropical Cyclone Sean is linked to this extreme heat. Can you explain what's happening there?
Yeah, the tropical cyclone, even though it's now about 500 kilometres off of the west coast of Western Australia, it's still having an influence on the overall flow of air across particularly the western half of the country. So the cyclone is well out to the west, but it's still sucking the air out towards that part of the country. And what that means over Western Australia is that the very hot air from the northern interior and perhaps parts of Northern Territory are getting drawn out towards that cyclone. That means it's getting drawn out towards the west coast of the country, kind of en route towards Tropical Cyclone Sean. And that means if you're on the western side of Western Australia, you're just getting fed this very warm air from those hot parts of the continent out towards that west coast. And that is a big part of why we saw record-setting temperatures yesterday and very high temperatures again today.